This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so welcome back all of you. Day 2 of our training. We are still doing module 1 itself. That is okay. We can pick up the pace a little later. So yesterday, what did we discuss? I basically shared a few links with you to download Tableau. So one thing is you can download the latest version of Tableau for the training. Okay, a recap of what we did yesterday is that you will have to download the latest version of Tableau for our training for now, and it is available only for for a free trial, only for 14 days. Okay, so after 2020.2, download 2020.1 version of Tableau, use it for 14 days, post which you go directly to 2018.1, download that, use it for 14 days, and then go up from there, 2018.2, 18.3, 19.1, so on and so forth. So that is if you do not have your Tableau desktop license. Okay, if any of you is a student, then you can, and if you already have your student license with Tableau, means if you are a full-time student with any of the reputed colleges, graduation and above, you can try to go for the student license, which is given for free. You have to fill in the form and submit it. Tableau people will give you the license for Tableau Creator that will include Tableau Desktop and Prep. Both of them you can use for 1 year for free. All right. Those of you who do not have any such thing and do not have any professional license for Tableau Desktop, this is a workaround that I was suggesting. You can use different versions, each version for 14 days. All right. Now, after that, how do you continue your practice on the tool is you can go ahead and download Tableau Public. Right away, it's not required, but because it is a free tool, if you want, you can also download and keep it on your machine, no harm. So this is a free version of Tableau Desktop, which is given out by Tableau people for free forever, along with all the updates and upgrades included. Okay, so you can give any email ID and you can download it. It will come on your machine and you can use it forever for free. Now, having said that Tableau Public is a free version of Tableau Desktop, obviously there are going to be some limitations. And what are those limitations? We will touch upon them in the next module. That is module 2, which we will hopefully start today itself. Then, in Tableau, the home page. This is the home page of the start screen, which is divided into 3 sections. You can see the connect section, dark blue section on the right, left side, which shows you the names of different data sources that Tableau is compatible with. To get connected to data coming from any of these data sources, all you have to do is select the name of the data source, provide the details, authenticate yourself, job done. You will have access to all the data, all the tables present in that data source, in that database, in that data connection. If the name of your data source does not appear in this list, you can check out the ODBC and JDBC options, Open Database Connectivity, Java Database Connectivity options. If these options also do not help you, the story ends there. Okay, which is a very rare scenario, nearly a 0% chance of encountering such a scenario. So we need not worry about it. Then the middle section is the open section where we can see the workbooks that we have previously created and saved on our desktop. Okay, and you can also open it from the file menu. Then we have discover section, which is more like a training section. All right, so this is about the home page. And in Tableau, to be able to actually reach the canvas and to start working on it, the first and the foremost requirement, as I told you yesterday, is to establish connection with an input data source. So we have to get connected to the data. How to do so? You select the data source type. In training, we will be using mostly files. So I'm going to select Microsoft Excel, the file type as Excel. Navigate to the place where that file is saved on your machine. Click on open. Once you select the data source, Tableau will take you to the next page that is called as the data source page, where we can see the name of the data source that we are connected to. What type is it? In this case, Microsoft Excel. List of worksheets present in Superstore. I gave you a walkthrough of the data yesterday because it is very important to understand the data before we proceed and learn anything. So I gave you a walkthrough. And to start using the data coming from any of these worksheets, you just drag and drop it in this section. here where it says drag tables here. Once you do that, you will get a preview of your data on the data grid. In addition to just giving you a preview of the data, Tableau gives you the name of the field, name of the table to which that field belongs, and the visual cue to the data type of that field. What are the data types Tableau recognizes? 6. Under numerical, whole number and decimal, date and time, date, string and boolean, right? And then we can also go to the metadata tab and check information. We can rename a field if necessary. We can also edit the names of the values in the data by using the edit alias option or providing the alias names. We can hide a field that is not required. Subsequently, you can unhide it by selecting the checkbox to show the hidden fields and thereby unhiding each member one by one. This is what we had discussed yesterday. All right, this is the extent to which we had discussed yesterday. Now we will continue our discussion from here. Whenever you get connected to any data source from Tableau desktop, there are two modes of connection. We can get connected to the data using live option, or we can choose to connect to the data using extract option. You can have a live connection, or you may choose to have an extract connection. Now, what is live and what is extract? Live means we are simply going to have a direct connection with the data coming from the data source. Live means direct connection with the data present in your data source. So every time you close and open a Tableau workbook, or every time you refresh a dashboard, okay, on the server, anywhere, when you visit that workbook, latest data from your database is fetched, and the reports will get updated based on the current state of data in your database. All right, so live means there is a direct connection with the data present in your database. So when the data changes in your database, the data gets updated even on the reports that you have created in the workbook. That is live. So you kind of have up-to-date information. Every time you refresh your workbook, you get the latest data. Every time you close and open the workbook, you get the latest data. All right. But what would be the limitations of using a live connection? Do you think there will be any limitation of using a live connection? What do you think is going to be the limitation of using a live connection?
Whether the changes will be reflected back to the database.
See, whatever changes you make here, they will not get reflected back in the database. Tableau is read only. It will take the data from the database, but it cannot write back. Okay, very important point to remember. Tableau will read the data from the database and represent that data in a visual format on your reports, but it cannot write back. If you have modified something, if you have renamed a field, or if you have given an alias name, or if you have created hierarchies, whatever it is, they are not going to get returned back to the database. We cannot update the database from Tableau. We can only read the data from there. So as most of you have suggested, I think all of you have given me the right answer. System performance could be slow. With a live connection, what happens is performance could be slow because that is one thing. You are depending on a network to communicate with the data coming from the data server or database, data source. So network delay will be there, right? And performance could be a little slow because of that. Then there are some dependencies, which means you need to have internet connection. You need to be on the network, and your data source also should be up and running. If the server is down, let's say you're working with data from Oracle server and Oracle server goes down for some reason, then you'll not be able to continue your work until the server is back up again. Only when we have access to the data, we can do something here, right? So these kind of dependencies will be there. So the other option that we have is to use extract connection. Extract connection means we are going to fetch the data from the database and save a copy of that data somewhere on your local machine. You can do it. Okay, so you're going to select the extract radio button. When you do that, Tableau by default will extract all the data. Okay, extract will include all the data, but it will get created only when you go and click on the worksheet option. So when you click on the worksheet option, because this workbook is not already saved, so it is prompting me, Tableau is prompting me to show a location, a path, a place, a folder, a directory where I'm supposed to save the data that I have extracted. Okay, so the Tableau data extract which we are trying to create has the extension of .hyper, that is from 10.5 and above, I believe, or 10.3 and above, something like that. But prior to that, it was called as Tableau data extract with an extension of .tde. Okay, so when you say you want to extract the data, what happens? Tableau will create a file called as Tableau data extract, which will have a copy of the data present in your underlying database. And this is something that you can save anywhere you want. You can save it locally on your own machine also. And the extension that this file used to have was .tde. But mm, yeah, 10.5, beginning 10.5. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was 10.5. Yeah, so beginning with version Tableau version 10.5, the extension has been changed to .hyper. Functionality wise, both of them are the same. Functionality wise, they are the same. How you create them, the procedure is the same. You just have to select the extract radio button and it will get created. What is the difference then? It's just that when would you call someone hyper? When they are way too active, right? When a child is very, very active, then you may say that this child is very hyper. Same thing with hyper database that we can create by using the extract option also. The performance of hyper is 3 to 5 times better compared to the performance of TD. Means you can access the data very quickly, you can create it also very quickly. All right, so that way hyper is better than TDE with respect to performance. Otherwise, both of them are one and the same. So when you select that extract radio button and choose to create a hyper, Tableau will prompt you to show a location where the hyper is supposed to be saved. Hyper meaning nothing but the Tableau data extract. When I click on save, I'm putting it on my desktop. Tableau will create the extract and it will save that extract on my machine. So it has saved it here. Okay, it has saved it here, which means whatever reports I'm going to create now in this database will be created using the data present in that hyper file, present in the Tableau data extract file, which I have saved here. What are the advantages of using a hyper? Obviously, by now you might have understood. We are having offline access to the data. Data is present on our own machine. So there is no network dependency. There is not going to be any network delay. Performance of the system is going to improve significantly because we are accessing it from our own machine. We don't need to be online or on the network at all the time. We can work offline. We can work offline because we have the data with us. We can work with that data whenever we want, wherever we want. So these are the advantages of working with a hyper. What do you think will be the disadvantage of working with a hyper? Old data, correct. We are stuck with the data that we have extracted and saved on our machine. Meanwhile, when we are creating these reports and maybe a few days later, when we are still using the extract that we have extracted a few days back, the underlying data might have changed. New records may get inserted, some old records may be updated, certain records may be deleted. So a lot of changes would be happening to your data real time, right? But those changes, we are losing them because we are working on the data that we have extracted in the past. We are working on the data that is there on our machine. Okay, so what happens is We are stuck with outdated information. That could be a drawback. How do we overcome this drawback of being stuck with outdated information? Is we will go and refresh the extract from time to time. So when you choose to refresh the extract from time to time, what happens? Yeah, regularly updating the extract. Updating in the sense refreshing the extract. So when you refresh it from time to time, you will get the latest data from your database automatically saved to the extract. And therefore, the reports will get updated accordingly. Whenever your data is modified or updated, the reports also will get updated to indicate the latest information present in your database. So that way it becomes easy. One thing is, by working with an extract, you're getting offline access to your data. Performance of Tableau will improve. There is no network delay. There is no network dependency. There is no dependency on the data server. In addition to this, if we keep refreshing it periodically, we can also overcome the problem of being stuck with outdated information. So when you're in the development environment, when you're creating reports, etc., better to go with extract your data and keep working on your project. Finally, when it's time to deliver the project to the client, or see whether everything looks perfect with live data also, you can just switch back to live mode and deliver it. Okay, so how do you switch to live mode from extract? Is when you right click on the data source, which is an extract connection. Now how do I know this is an extract connection? When I right click on the name of the data source, the use extract option is active. If the use extract option is active, it means we are using an extract, and two cylinders, two barrels is an indication for an extract connection. If I uncheck use extract, it goes back to being live. Live in the sense, single barrel icon means live connection. It is directly fetching the data from your database now. All right. So this refreshing the extract that we are telling is a manual process, kind of a manual process on Tableau desktop. We will go right click on the extract and choose to refresh. Okay, now I can say use extract, it goes back to being an extract. All right. But when we put it or upload it on Tableau Online, a tool called as Tableau Online, which we discussed yesterday, or Tableau Server, when you put it on Tableau Online or Tableau Server, there you will be able to automate the refresh, schedule a job that will automatically refresh the extract from time to time. Are you all able to see my screen? Yes. All right. So I'm not getting a preview here, so I thought maybe you're not able to see. Okay. So let me give you an analogy here to understand the difference between live and extract. It's simple. Live is like performing an online banking transaction. Let us say you're trying to purchase something from Amazon or from one of the websites, okay, which sell products online. So if you have to purchase something from an online shopping website, what will you need? You need to have internet connection, and for that transaction to get through and to pay for it through an online payment, your bank website should be up and running, your bank server should be up and running. Only then you will be able to, the transaction will be able to hit your bank and your bank will respond and the transaction will get through, right? So live is like performing an internet banking transaction. Extract on the other hand is like you withdraw the cash from your account and you keep it in your pocket with yourself. So no matter where you go, which remote area you go, without internet connection also, you will still be able to purchase whatever you want to purchase because you have cash in your pocket, right? You will pay for it and you will purchase whatever you require. So extract is going around with cash in your pocket. Live is like going to depend on online banking. If you are using Tableau Public, you will not see live and extract option. That feature is not there on Tableau Public. Okay. So we'll discuss that when we get to the concept on differences. This live and extract option is not available on Tableau Public. So this brings us to the end of our discussion on the data source page. Any questions here regarding anything? Let me know. Otherwise, we'll proceed to the worksheet and try to explore the different sections on the worksheet. Okay, I don't see any questions, so let us proceed further. So we have established connection with the data source, and we told specifically from which worksheet or table we need the data for our analysis. And now we will simply go to the worksheet. You can do that by clicking on the worksheet icon. So today also all theoretical. Tomorrow we will start the hands-on activity. So by tomorrow, all of you please make sure that you have the data source sample superstore downloaded. There will be all the data sources are there in your AI Sprite. So download all of them and also make sure that you download the tool. Okay, tomorrow we'll start the hands-on. Right. So once you reach the canvas, this area here is the place where we can actually look at the visualizations that we create. The charts get built here. This is referred to as the canvas or the view pane or the window, canvas, view pane, window, anything. This whole thing is the user interface. You have the menu bar on the top like file, data, worksheet, etc., which is present in almost all the tools. Followed by the menu bar, we have the toolbar. What is the purpose of a toolbar? In any tool, what is the purpose of a toolbar? All the most frequently used features, they come as a small icon on the toolbar, right? So if you have to very quickly save your data, you can click on the floppy disk icon. To undo something, you will click on the back arrow, right? Something like that. So that is the toolbar. Even in Tableau, we will be looking at most of these options during our training. Then we have something called as data. The interface changes actually. Menu bar and toolbar is just like with any other tool that you might have worked on. Not necessarily a data visualization tool. Anything will have a menu bar and have a toolbar. Then the interface looks completely different. It's different. You have something called as data here. This is called as the data pane. Data pane is something where we can see the names of all the data sources that we are connected to. Okay, so I'm connected to 3 different data sources in this workbook. So you can see the names of all the data sources that you are connected to. And when you click and select any data source, one single barrel indicates it is a live connection. If you see 2 barrels, it is an extract connection. This is single barrel, so live connection. And when you click on any data source, the data, the fields of that data source, the columns that belong to that data source are segregated here. You can see them under the tables option. So you can see the list of fields which come in alphabetical order. This first set, these are all called as dimensions. These are all called as dimensions. And then if you observe very closely, there is one small subtle line, gray color, very subtle. That line is dividing your dimensions from measures. Below the line, whatever you have are all measures. Above the line, whatever you have are dimensions. Below the line, whatever you have are measures. Suppose I just try to drag something here. You can see. You see that? That line turned orange. Above the line are dimensions. Below the line are measures. Okay. Now, what are dimensions and what are measures? Obviously, that would be the next question, right? What are dimensions? What are measures? Measures in Tableau are always aggregated. Okay. So every measure in Tableau will have a default aggregation property with it. Like maybe you're trying to sum up the entire data in that field. You're trying to take the average of the data in that field. You're trying to come up with the median of the data or trying to check the minimum value, trying to check the maximum value, so on and so forth. So measures in Tableau are those fields which, when aggregated, will give you a meaningful result. Okay. Measures are those fields which, when aggregated, when you do some mathematical operations, will give you a meaningful result. So on which data will you perform math? Numerical data, obviously, right? So measures are values on which we perform mathematical operations, which could be like addition, subtraction, anything. Okay, you sum it up, you take the average of it, or you take the median of it, etc. Anything. And when you do apply these mathematical operations, it will give you a meaningful result. It should give you a meaningful result. That would be a measure. So usually, in short, I can say numbers. So if I say all numbers are measures, what about row ID? Row ID is also a number. Why did Tableau not treat it as a measure? Why is it treating it as a dimension? Okay, you have to remember that simply performing mathematical operations is not enough. When we do that, we should get a meaningful result. Then we can call it a measure. Okay, now what is row ID? It is a field that we are using for identification purpose, identifying each and every row uniquely. That is the purpose of row ID. Right, I hope it's making sense. Row ID is a field that is used to identify the records uniquely, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, etc. So what kind of aggregation will we do there? Suppose, let us say, no, it is a number, so I want it to be a measure only. Okay, I'm adamant. I'm saying no. If it is a number, it has to be a measure. So I'll make it a measure. How to convert a measure to a dimension is just drag and drop it in the measures pane. Simple. Drag and drop it in the measures pane, it becomes a measure. Now, if it becomes a measure, what is the property of a measure? Property of a measure is that it will be aggregated, which means when I use row ID now on my chart, it is going to show me summation of the values present in the row ID column. Is this going to be of any use to us? If I tell that I summed up all the data in the row ID column, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus so on and so forth, and I obtained so and so value, is this going to be of any use to me or to anybody for that matter? Absolutely not. Correct. So aggregating row ID is not going to give us a meaningful result. Therefore, row ID, even though it is a number, should be a dimension. So I'll take it back into the dimensions pane. So what are measures? Numbers except pseudo numbers. Except pseudo numbers. What is a pseudo number? Pseudo number is a number that is used for identification purpose. Identifying the records uniquely. Any number that is used for identification purpose, which we would not want to aggregate. Which we would not want to aggregate. So that is measures. Okay. Now as a dimension, if I keep it, what will happen? It will simply list out the values present in that field, but it will not go ahead and aggregate it. This is some way or the other, it's going to benefit me, right? Rather than summing it up. Now that we have established what is a measure, measures in Tableau, the property is that they will be aggregated. So what is the data on which we would like to do aggregation? Numbers. However, not all the numbers. Pseudo numbers are an exception. Okay. So who will be dimensions? Everything else. Everything that is not a measure, right? So you can say non-numerical along with pseudo numbers. Right. So everything else like string data, dates, date and time, boolean, true or false, all this you can say will become a dimension. And when you have a dimension, what happens? Now, when we have a measure we established, the Tableau is going to aggregate it like sum of profit and it will show you the data. When you have a dimension, what happens? When you have a dimension, what happens is Tableau will look at, no, it will not aggregate. Count also is an aggregation. It will not do it. It will not count. When you have a dimension, Tableau will check the data present in that field and it will display the unique values present in that field on the graph. So we have many occurrences of furniture. It is showing you furniture, one unique occurrence, that is furniture. Then it's showing you office supplies and it's showing you technology. Okay, so dimensions, when they are used on the graph, Tableau will look at the data present in the dimension. It will look at the names of the members present in that field and it will list out the names of the members present in that dimension. That is what a dimension will give you. Clear on what is a measure and what is a dimension? Now, there are scenarios where you may have to treat a dimension as a measure. Suppose you want to get the count of categories. If you want to get the count of categories, you're just interested in how many unique categories are present in that field, distinct count of categories. Keeping it as a dimension, you cannot do it. Because dimensions, they cannot be aggregated using any of the aggregations. You have to make it a measure. For that one instance, on that one particular graph, if necessary, you can make a dimension into a measure and associate an aggregation. When I say give me the distinct count of categories, it is giving me the number 3, which means there are 3 unique categories present in that field. But when you do that, it has become a measure. For that one instance, on that one chart, it became a measure. At the higher level, it's still a dimension. Okay. So any confusion? Is it clear to all of you? What is a dimension and what is a measure? Just remember one thing. Measures in Tableau are always aggregated based on a default aggregation property, which is set up by Tableau. So if you think the data upon aggregation is going to be meaningful, it is a measure. If you think data upon aggregation is not going to be meaningful, instead you just want to see the values present in that field, that is a dimension. However, there are exceptions. There are scenarios where you may have to treat a dimension as a measure or a measure as a dimension for that one instance, which we can do. But we will discuss about that when we get to that point. Okay. Otherwise, is it clear? Overall, what is a dimension and what is a measure? So if any of you has any doubts or questions, let me know. This is the building, this is the main building block on which entire Tableau is built. Next. Now observe very closely. I'm using a dimension, a measure profit on the chart to build my chart. What is the color of this field? This field, when any of these fields are used on the graph, they are called as pills. Why a pill? Because they take the shape of a capsule. Because they take the shape of a capsule. That is why they're called as a pill. Nothing more than that. Okay. How do I convert a dimension to a measure? Is you click on the drop down icon of the dimension, you will see. I'll show you, Rani, one more time. I'll show you. Just a minute. Now you see profit is green in color. Color of profit pill is green, right? Green pill signifies that the data is continuous. Green pill does not signify measure. Green pill signifies that the data is continuous. What is continuous? Data that can be represented in decimal format and which is meaningful when you represent it in decimal format. Like weight of a person, 60 kgs, 60.2 kgs, 60.3 kgs or 345 kgs. It's all meaningful. So data when expressed in decimal format is going to be meaningful, is continuous. Or technically, continuous data is data that has a minimum value and a maximum value, and everything in that range from minimum to maximum is valid. You pick up any number, it will be valid. That is continuous data. And when we use a green pill, when we get a green pill, which represents continuous data, what happens on the chart is that you will get an axis. You will get an axis with a range of values. Okay. Then suppose I use a dimension. Suppose instead of a measure, I'm using a dimension like category. What happens is you get a blue pill. Blue pill indicates, again, blue pill does not indicate dimension all the time. Blue pill indicates discrete data. Discrete means data which cannot be represented in decimal format, or which when represented in decimal format is not going to be meaningful, right? Like the number of mobile phones a person can have. I can have one phone, or I can have two phones. I cannot have 1.5 mobile phones with me, right? Not possible to have 1.5 phone, 1.5, 1.25, 1.256, not possible. So data where each entity, each value is unique by itself, and we cannot represent it in decimal format, that is discrete. So what happens when you use a blue colored pill which represents discrete data? You will get a header with labels on it. Tableau will fetch the unique values present in that field, and each and every unique value is listed out. Each and every unique value is listed out. So furniture is one unique value, office supplies is one unique value, technology is one unique value. These are referred to as field labels. These are the labels given to the data in that field, right? So they are called as field labels or dimension members. So what will happen when you have a blue pill which indicates discrete data? You will get labels. Here you will get an axis, okay, with a range of values. Continuous means where decimal values make sense, or you can in other ways say that something that has a minimum value and a maximum value, and everything in that range from minimum to maximum is valid. When you have a blue pill which represents discrete data, you will get header with labels. These labels are field labels. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. These labels are field labels. So it's very important in Tableau to understand what is a green pill and what is a blue pill. Okay. You will get questions in interview, you will get questions in certification also regarding the color of the pill and what does it signify. What happens on the graph visually when you have a green pill? What happens on the graph visually when you have a blue pill? What does it signify? What is discrete? What is continuous? What is a dimension? What is a measure? Okay. Now, that is about the fields here. Next, you will see something called as columns, rows, pages, filters. These are all referred to as shelves. Columns, shelf, rows, shelf. Okay. Similarly, pages, shelf, then filters, shelf. They are called as shelves. Then we have something called as marks, which is called as marks card. There is something called as marks, which is called as marks card, which in turn comprises of color shelf, size shelf, text shelf, detail shelf, and tooltip shelf. We will be looking at each and every shelf, its purpose, its significance as we proceed further in our training. So it's just the nomenclature or the terminology that I want you all to get familiar with. Okay. Now, what would happen when you take a field to the shelf, rows shelf, let us say? Very simple, okay? When you take any field, a dimension, for example, which is discrete, indicated with blue colored pill. When you take it to the rows shelf, what happens is when you bring any field to the rows shelf, not necessarily a dimension, any field, it could be a measure also. When you take it to the rows shelf, you are simply telling Tableau that the data in that field, the unique members in that field should appear as rows. Furniture is a row, office supplies is a row, technology is a row. You're telling they should appear as rows. When you take a field to the columns shelf, you are simply telling Tableau that the data in that field is supposed to appear as columns. What are the values and category? Furniture, office supplies, and technology. Furniture is a column, office supplies is a column, technology is a column, and it is aligned horizontally. Here, because they are supposed to appear as rows, they are vertically aligned. Okay, same thing with the measure also. Suppose I take a measure which is continuous to the columns shelf. Green pill will give me an axis because it is continuous. But because I have taken it to the columns shelf, what should happen? When you take something to the columns shelf, data is supposed to appear as columns. So you can see here, it is cutting across columns. It formed the x-axis, and you see 10K mark, 20K mark, 30K mark, 40K mark. They're cutting across columns, cutting across columns. Now suppose I had taken this to the rows shelf, then what will happen? It is supposed to cut across rows, 20K, 40K, 60K, 80K, cutting across rows. Clear? It will form the y-axis. Now, is there any rule which will tell us which field should be placed on the rows shelf, which field should be placed on the columns shelf? Why am I supposed to take this to rows? Why am I supposed to take this to columns? When am I supposed to do that? There is no such rule. There is no such rule. As the person who's creating that graph, as a person who's creating that visualization, you have complete control over which fields you want to take to rows, which fields you want to take to columns, how do you want to design your chart. Because depending on what you're placing where, the chart is taking a shape. If I had category on rows and profit on columns, I got something called as a horizontal bar graph. Same data, when I swap, when I take category to columns and profit to rows, it's giving me a vertically oriented bar graph, vertical columns. Data is the same, right? Visual representation is going to change. So you need to be a bit of an artist, okay? Not just a scientist. You also need to be a little bit of an artist to work in the field of data visualization, because you get to decide what your chart is supposed to look like. It's your choice, it's your call completely. Then other things we will discuss, okay, a little later. Then you will see there is something called as show me on the extreme right side on the top on the toolbar, extreme right side on the toolbar, top right corner if you notice. There is something called as show me. Show me is called as show me panel. Show me panel. That is the, again, nomenclature. Okay, that is the name by which we call it. Show me is called as the show me panel, which in Tableau's own terms is called as the crown jewel of Tableau. Crown jewel of Tableau. Why? Because it's a very powerful tool. Okay, what does show me panel contain? Is it houses, or it contains 24 most frequently used visualizations or charts from the visualization world. What Tableau people did is they picked up 24 extremely popular graphs from the world of data visualization. Okay, and they have placed them on the show me panel. So we can create them very easily. Right now, everything is deactive. Okay, right now each and every chart is deactive or disabled. That is because we have not yet selected any input data. Now when you hover the mouse pointer towards these graphs, in the lower section on the Show Me panel, you will be able to see the name of that chart. Like this chart is bullet graph, for which we need 0 or more dimensions and 2 measures only. This is a bubble chart, for which you need 1 or more dimensions, 1 or 2 measures. This is an area graph, for which we need 1 date, 0 or more dimensions, 1 or more measures. This is a pie chart. This is a text table, heat map. So you can see the names of the graphs and the data, the kind of data that you need to create those charts. Okay, very, very helpful feature. Now, why is it everything deactive? Because we have not yet selected anything. The moment you start selecting the fields which you would like to visually represent on the view, Tableau will start activating things for you. Like for example, I have selected category and it has activated text tables. Only text table. Out of the 24 charts, only one chart has become active. Because if I have to visually represent the data present in the category dimension, I can only create a text table out of it, right? You can just show the values in it, nothing else. Now, suppose in addition to category, I also select a measure like profit. For the combination of category and profit, for the combination of these two fields, Tableau is telling me that I can create a text table or a heat map or a highlight table or a pie chart or a horizontal bar graph or a stacked bar graph or a tree map or a circle view or a box plot or a packed bubble chart. So Tableau is telling me that for the combination of category and profit, I can create any of these things that are active. With just one click, we can do it. One click, you have your text table ready. One click on heat map, it gets converted into a heat map. One click, it becomes a highlight table, pie chart, bar chart, stacked bar, okay, tree map, circle view, box plot, bubble chart. So many different things that we can use to visually represent the data. Okay, so you can see how easy it is to switch between views and Tableau through the Show Me panel. If you have created something and you want to change it, you can very easily change it from the Show Me panel. Okay, now of all the charts which Tableau has activated, it is highlighting horizontal bars in red color. Of all the charts which Tableau has activated, horizontal bars is coming in red color. This is Tableau's recommendation. So Tableau is telling that visually, though you can create so many different charts, best way to represent the profits across different categories would be to create a horizontal bar chart, which you may or may not agree with. It's a recommendation. It's not compulsory that we should go with it. You can create something else also. But you can see that certain charts like line and area, etc., are still deactive. Why are they deactive? Because we have not met the criteria required to create those charts. Means what did we miss here? How can I make the line chart active? I mean, if the line chart is supposed to become active, what is it that we need? Can you look at the lower section on the Show Me panel and tell me what is it that we need? Date, right? All of you will agree, right? Date. So what I will do is, in addition to whatever data is already there on the graph, okay, I'm going to select date now. So Tableau will consider everything that is already present on the graph, plus the newer fields that you're going to select on the data pane. For the entire combination, it is telling now you can create line chart, and it is also Tableau's recommendation to you. Okay. So depending on the input that you have selected, these charts will become active if it is possible to create them. If it is still not possible to create them, they will remain inactive. Why are geographical maps inactive? Because to create a geographical map, we need at least one geographic dimension. We need at least one geographic dimension. Getting it? So that is the purpose of the Show Me panel and different sections that we have here. The interface. So let's say we have seen how to get connected to the data. We have seen how to create a report using that data. Now, what is the next thing that anybody would want to do? After they have done everything that is required, they would want to share whatever they have created with the end users, right? So now we will be looking at those sharing options. So anyway, I think we have completed everything present in module 1. We discussed about Tableau product suite yesterday. Start page we explored, data source page we explored, components and terminologies we got familiar with now, right? We know the purpose of show me panel. We discussed about data types, renaming the fields and changing the data type, hiding the fields, editing alias, all this we saw. So we can say we completed module 1. Let us proceed to module 2 now, where the main aim of module 2 is explain Tableau architecture to you. So we have understood about the difference. We have understood what are dimensions and what are measures, and what is continuous and what is discrete. Now we will look at the options that we have to save and share our work that we create on Tableau desktop. Okay, so let's say I created this graph which I would like to share. Then what do I do? There are different methods in which we can share our work. There are static ways and there are ways where you can share with full interactivity, dynamic we can call it. So for static methods of sharing, when you right click on the chart, there is an option called as copy. Okay, again, you're not doing the hands-on along with me. You are just observing because this is all going to help you understand Tableau architecture. Once we complete architecture, we will start the hands-on where you can do things along with me. Today also, please just observe. So when I right click on the graph, there's an option to copy. I can copy the information on this graph. I can copy this as an image. Okay, suppose I copy it as an image. I can, just go and save it wherever I want. These meeting tools and all, they just cover up the entire section here. Okay, so I copied there. It's like doing a control C and I pasted it here, doing a control V. So what happened? The graph came. A small explanation of what the graph represents also came, which is called as the caption. Color legend of the graph also came. But what will be the end user be able to do with this? Nothing, no. They can only see what we have created and at most share an opinion and tell that, okay, your graph looks good, or no, you need to make a few changes here and there, right? So the end user can only look at the chart that we have created and share an opinion. They cannot do anything beyond that. They cannot interact with it. They cannot modify it. They cannot add anything new here. So that is why called as a static way of sharing your work. Another thing I can do is I can also go ahead and copy the information being represented by this graph. The data, the information being represented on this graph, I can also copy that as a cross tab. So these values being depicted on the graph, they will get copied in the form of a text table, which you can go and paste wherever you want again. I have put it in an Excel. Neatly with the structure it has come. So suppose I change this graph into a text table, what will it look like? It looks like this. So that is the exact structure in which we get the result when you copy it as a cross tab. Another option that we have is when we say copy, we can copy and use the option data. When you copy the data, what happens is it is more focused on the data, not the structure, not to give you an easily readable structure, but just the data and what the data belongs to, the members that the value belongs to. Okay, so that is the difference between copy data and copy cross tab. Other options that we have is we can go to worksheet option on the menu. There also you will see copy, all the three options are there, and there is export in addition to that. So when you say export image, that visualization will get exported as an image, which you can save. Tableau works best with portable network graphics.png images. but it can also work with other types of images. You can save it. You can save that as an image anywhere you want. So I saved it on my desktop. You see sheet 10.png. And again, this is also a static way, right? People cannot do anything with that image that you share with them. They can only see the image and at most share an opinion. At most they can share their opinion, nothing more than that. So again, a static method in which we can share our work. Or we can also say export and cross tab to Excel. So what happens? Tableau will open an Excel document by itself and it will show this data in a tabular format as a text table in that Excel document. It's going to take a moment. It will come. Yeah. Okay, so it will open a new Excel document by itself and you can see the data coming up neatly in a tabular format. And we can also say export data. It will create a Microsoft Access database with you with that data, which I'm not doing right now. Okay. Other static methods of sharing the work is when we go to the file option on the menu, there is an option called as export as PowerPoint. Okay. When you choose the option to export as PowerPoint, you can tell Tableau whether all the worksheets in that workbook are supposed to be saved in the PowerPoint or only that one particular view, your choice. Okay, I want specific sheets from the workbook. Then I can select specific sheets which I want to export, or I can say select all and export everything, or I can say clear all and select only specific sheets. So let's say I want these two sheets to be exported. I click on export. Okay, Tableau will create a PowerPoint presentation where each graph will come up as one slide in your PowerPoint presentation. Each graph will become a slide in your PowerPoint presentation. Here, book1.pptx. In addition to representing each graph as a slide in the PPT, it will also put a titled slide. A titled slide which will contain the name of the workbook. In this case, I did not save it yet. It is just book 1. And the timestamp of when that particular workbook is created. Name and timestamp will come. Okay. Another way in which you can share your work in a static method is you can also use an option called as print to PDF. Now, when you choose the option to print to PDF, the workbook will get saved as a PDF document. Again, you can tell whether you want only the active worksheet to be converted into a PDF document and saved as a PDF, or the entire workbook should be saved as a PDF. Two options are there. Okay, click on OK, and it gets saved as a PDF document. So when you save something as a PDF, what happens is each and every worksheet in that workbook, here I told everything, right? I told the entire workbook will get converted into a PDF, not converted as such. It will be saved in a PDF format. So you can see the worksheets there. Okay. Like that. There will not be any title slide though. PowerPoint will give you a title slide, right? With the name of the workbook and the timestamp. In PDF, we'll not get any title slide which Tableau will auto insert, but it's just directly going to start from whatever is there in your workbook itself. So these are all the different static methods that are available for us to save and share our work. Why am I calling it static? Because the end user with whom we are sharing this data will not be able to interact with this workbook. They will only be able to see what you have created, the images that you have shared, and they will be able to probably give you an opinion about it, nothing more than that. We'll come back to this slide. So Save the visualizations as images, saving using the print to PDF option, exporting as a PowerPoint. These are the options that we have. So now we will look at how do we save the workbook itself as a workbook. How do we save the Tableau workbook with full interactivity as such, incorporated into it as a workbook. So we will do this, and then we will, today I'm thinking we'll close the session early because I had a lot of trainings that I'm doing continuously today. So we'll discuss all these concepts and we'll wind up the session. So all I'm saying is we'll do it without a break. Okay, today we'll not take any break. Let's continue and close early. Okay. So I got connected to this data source and I created a chart. Okay, so some line chart I created. I would like to now save this workbook. So when I go to the file option, I'm trying to save it. So I'll use save as option. There are two ways or two types of file extensions which we can use when we are saving the workbook. We can save it as a normal Tableau workbook. TWB extension will be used, and let me call it June 23rd. TWB is a Tableau workbook. We can also save it as, see, I have not done anything here. I'm not making any changes. I'm just going and choosing to save as again. But this time I will save it as a Tableau packaged workbook with the extension TWBX. Okay. So I saved that workbook as a TWB. Then I saved the workbook as a TWBX. TWB is Tableau workbook. TWBX is Tableau packaged workbook. Okay. Now let us see what is the difference between the two. When you save something as a .twb, that is a Tableau workbook, what gets saved is all the sheets in that workbook. There could be individual worksheets, dashboards that you might have created, stories that you might have created, everything. So all the sheets it will save in that workbook, they will get saved. In addition to that, connection details to the resources used in the workbook will be saved. Those resources could be anything, data, or it could be some images, could be some shape files, could be some geocoding, anything. Okay, we will be seeing a lot of resources we will be using during our training. So anything that you have used to build the worksheets in that workbook is a resource in that workbook, and all the resources connection details will be saved. What is the resource we have used here? What resource did we use in this workbook? Is a resource, right? What resource have we used in this particular workbook, June 23rd? Sample superstore we have used, file data, right? We have used the data source, sample superstore. That is nothing but a resource used. Using that data, we have built the report. So that is a resource. Okay. Then we can also save it as a .twbx. When you save something as a .twbx, what happens is everything that is saved as a part of your TWB will get saved. In addition to that, means what, all the worksheets and the connection details to the resources used to build the worksheets in the workbook, everything is saved. In addition to that, local data, if any, local resources, if any, will be packaged. In the workbook. What would be a local resource? Which resource will you call a local resource? Anything that is present on the same machine where Tableau is installed. Now I have Tableau here, and if I have the data source also on the same machine, it becomes a local resource. Anything that is present on the same system as Tableau is present will become local to Tableau, will become a local resource to Tableau. All right. So TWBX, what it will do is it will save everything that is actually saved as a part of your TWB. In addition to that, it will save the local resources that you have used to build that workbook. They get internally packaged with the workbook itself. Remember, not all the resources, not the data coming from servers, Oracle server, SQL server, Salesforce, no. Only local data, local resources will be internally packaged. Not if it is coming from some other place on the network. Okay. So now let us see what it actually means, whatever we have discussed so far. I'm going to close this workbook for now. So I saved it as a workbook here, 23rd June, and I saved the same thing as a packaged work. So you can see the difference. This is TWB, and you can see the logo or the icon, and check the size, 47.7 kilobytes. Look at this. This is TWBX. The icon also is different. It is more like a folder, more like a folder. Size is 1.15 MB. What did we do different here? Nothing. Same workbook, which I saved as a TWB, I saved it as a TWBX, and look at the size, how it increased significantly to 1.15 MB from mere 47.7 kilobytes. Okay, so that is because local resources are packaged here. Sample Superstore, the data source which I used to build this workbook, is a local resource, right? It is present on my own machine where I'm using Tableau. Therefore, it becomes a local resource. Now, if it is a packaged workbook, you can unpackage it. So when you
Yes,
right click
Bharti,
on,
hello.
yeah,
Yes, I think screen got freezed. We are not able. We are able to view only that text document which
okay.
you have
None of
typed.
you are able to see the screen.
No,
All
no,
of you
none
face
of.
the same problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you are seeing the notepad. That's all. Nothing else.
Yes.
The recording option also has gone away.
Yeah. Okay, I'm noticing it now only. I don't know if it's not getting recorded, then that will be a problem.
I'm not sure when it stopped, but I also just saw the messages one of the member have put. So just highlighted to you.
Oh, okay. I'm not able to see any messages from you all.
It got stopped when you were explaining .twbx.
Okay. Oh, okay. So what to do? I don't see the recording option. It disappeared from here.
I think you can restart it. The recording
Means,
option.
no, to restart the recording, I'm not able to see the option to record at all. Options.
You can try and rejoin, I guess.
Okay, wait 1 minute then. I will, if I leave the meeting, it will ask me to choose an organizer.
I think Manish has the control of recording. He's not there now.
Manish left. After I joined, he gave me the control and left.
Yeah.
So if I end the meeting, all of you will be taken out
Will
of
be.
the meeting. So will you all join back again then?
Do you want me to call Manish?
I will end the meeting. All of us will be taken out of the meeting. We will all join back. So I will log in and then you can log in a minute. Okay.
Okay, but instead of doing that, should I call Manish and see if he can join?
Okay, I'll message him then 1 minute.
Okay.
In a minute, he'll log in and then we'll see if it can be resolved.
Now the recording has started now.
Are you all able to see my screen also then? Now you can see. All right, great. Then we'll continue.
No, the screen what we can see is the notepad.
Notepad. Now the PowerPoint.
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay. All right, let's continue. So I was telling that I saved the workbook as a workbook and as a packaged workbook, right? I was just showing you that. You see, this is the workbook on my desktop, and this is the packaged workbook. First thing that you will notice is the difference in the icon. This is more like a folder. The packaged workbook is more like a folder. And when you right click on a packaged workbook and you try to unpackage it, if you select the option to unpackage, it will get unpackaged and you can see the contents in that packaged workbook. So packaged workbook is actually the workbook itself plus all the local data or the local resources used in that workbook to build it. So what are the local resources we used here? I used data from my own machine present in so and so folder called as sample superstore. So what happened is this data got packaged inside the workbook. That is packaged workbook. Workbook on the other hand is only the worksheets and the connection details to the resources. That is why the size of the workbook is very small, less, whereas size of a packaged workbook is significantly high because it's packaging the data internally with it. All right, that is what I was telling. Now let us do one thing. When we say that workbook means it saves all the sheets and the resources used to build the workbook. What does it mean? So I'll do one thing. I'll go to that folder from where I have picked up sample superstore. Okay, from here I had taken sample superstore. I will delete it from there. So after building the graph, suppose I'm going to delete it from here. I'll take it elsewhere and paste it on my. Okay, why is it saying? Okay, let me take it to documents. Or I'll just delete it maybe. Oh, okay, I got it. I kept it open and I'm trying to do these things, so it's fine. Okay, so it's no longer present in this folder from where I had picked it up. And now I'll try to open the workbook. What do you think will happen? I deleted the file which was used in this workbook to build the worksheets from its original location. And now I'm trying to open that workbook. What do you think will happen? Let us see. What gets saved in a workbook? What gets saved in a workbook is all the worksheets created in the workbook plus connection details to the resources used in that workbook. So it is saving the connection detail to the resource sample superstore, which was used in the workbook, that it was picked up from so and so path. And now it is no longer available in that path. So Tableau is not able to show me the worksheet. Instead, it's showing me a message saying I cannot find the file. I saved so and so connection details or the path, and I'm not able to find it anymore in that location. Do you want to replace it with another file? Let's go ahead and say yes, replace it with another file. Then it will prompt you to show the location from where it has to take the file and replace it. I'm pointing it to another place where I have the file, and now it will be able to make visualizations using the data in that file from the new location wherever we pointed it. Okay, so that is workbook. What will happen if I open a packaged workbook? Will it give me the same error saying I'm not able to find the resource? Or will it open and show me the entire worksheet properly with the charts? No error, right? It will not show any error. It will show me the workbook. It will show me, open the workbook, and it will actually show me the content of that workbook. Why? Because here it is not just saving the connection details. Along with the connection details, it is also packaging the data internally inside that workbook. So even if Superstore is no longer present in that location, I don't have any problem because I have Superstore which is packaged in this workbook. Okay, so it is able to load. On the other hand, if I try to refresh that data connection, then I may get an error. Because when it tries to refresh, then it will try to go to that location and find for that data source. And that data source is no longer present over there, then there's a chance it will throw an error. But otherwise, it will be able to show me the entire data neatly and properly. Because it is a packaged workbook where the data is internally packaged inside the workbook itself. So is the difference between a workbook and a packaged workbook clear to you? Any questions or doubts here? No. Another way in which we can save our work is we can publish it to Tableau server. We can publish it to Tableau server. Now, what I will do is, let me see if I remember. The login credentials actually. No. Okay, this I will show you a little later. Anyway, you have a session on Tableau online that where we will see this. So for now, what I will show you is how to publish this to Tableau Public Gallery. Okay, so when you go to the server option on the menu bar, there is something called as Tableau Public, and we can save this workbook to Tableau Public Gallery, which is also called as the Tableau Public Server. Okay, when you choose to save it to Tableau Public Gallery or Tableau Public Server, this is how you navigate. Tableau will prompt you to log in to Tableau Public into your account. Now, Tableau Public account can be created for free. I would recommend all of you create an account for yourself on Tableau Public. Okay, you can just create an account for free for yourself and you will log in. When you sign in to Tableau Public Server or Tableau Public Gallery to save your work there, when we publish something on Tableau Public Gallery, it should be a workbook with extract connection. Any workbook with live connection cannot be published on gallery. So you will get this message. Okay, Tableau server you are publishing to does not support external database connections. Use data menu to create an extract. So what I will do is, first I will go to the data source and try to extract the data. So this is another method in which you can create your Tableau data extract. Extract the data and I'll just say extract. This is already saved as a packaged workbook, right? Because it is already saved as a packaged workbook, Tableau did not prompt me to show a location or a place where it is supposed to save the extract. Because the extract also gets internally packaged along with the workbook if it is a packaged workbook. So it did not prompt me. Now that I have created the extract, I'll go and save my workbook to Tableau Public as, and June 23rd only I'll call it, and I'll save it there. And when I do that, it will get saved in my Tableau Public profile. Okay. And how do I share whatever I publish here to Tableau Public Server or Tableau Public Gallery with the rest of the users? Is all I have to do is take the link and give you the link. So I sent you a link on the chat window. If you click on that link, this workbook will open up on your internet browser. You can also open this link on your Tableau mobile app. If you have installed Tableau mobile app, you can open the workbook directly from your Tableau mobile app also. Okay, so you can access it from your mobile phone, you can access this from your internet browser, you can log in here, and after you go here, you can even download it. The problem when you upload something to Tableau Public is that it is not secure. Anybody can go to your profile and they can see everything that you have created. They can even go ahead and download what you have created. So you cannot control who should see your workbook, who should not, who should download it, who should not be able to download it. There is absolutely no security involved. When you publish something to on Tableau Public Gallery, there is absolutely no security involved. So that is why we never use Tableau Public Tool or Tableau Public Server when we are working in a corporate environment, because there is no security. All right. So architecture is something I will discuss with you all tomorrow. Today, I think we will wind up our discussion here. We have seen everything to understand architecture. Tomorrow, we will discuss architecture and see the differences between limitations of Tableau Public and proceed to the next module. Okay. Any questions on whatever we have discussed today? If you have, let me know. I will answer. Please stay back, don't leave. I will give you the QR code which you will need to use to submit your attendance. Please don't leave yet. The notes that we have written today, anybody who needs it, you can take it. I'm going to paste it on the chat window. Okay, and the QR code for your attendance. Let me stop the recording. Okay. Manish, please take care of the recording. It can be stopped now.
Sure, Bhargavi.